like definitely not Indian system right now, it's definitely for like my totally right now telling us topic I think would be definitely element about that. Then wanting like a proper plan when like well thought out plan before like facing off against like the minimum because like definitely that the regulation from like 11 that I could be also think that like the minimum right now thinking well prepared for the incoming attack. So definitely that Mike would be telling that that definitely they should only fight like the minimize only during the stage time when it's that advantage for like 11 and all of that. Take down like an minimum player get down the night like Mike would be telling 11 and all of that. But like I'm at that point that 11 totally person that are telling my that is relations that like the minimize my reputation is waiting to send that time for first moment. So definitely that minimize definitely allows that 11 to be able to like access that in his memory to like the point of like finding that gap house of that print gone right now because that it's like an open challenge by like the minimize to 11 and like my can all that and they that that minimize definitely desires to like fight the fight this very moment would be along the lines like I don't be telling my center the code, also telling my center that basically if like they don't act now and basically go out to like fight like the minimize right now, then what might there will be that high possibility of like the minimize like zones towards like their located towards like where like Mike and 11 all of them are currently and basically launching an attack like they are located. So like if there is that when that while that element player who making it move that all the people that because it encounters along the way like the most of that them getting attacked by like all those innocent people of that often getting attacked by the enemy mind player which is the high will be enough from the in a concerned manner of telling my which like awesome to get okay feeling like it totally makes sense. So like my should get okay feeling and so like definitely at that point like the relevant to telling my under the surface it's like now it's that basically it's all like the minimize press of towards like the other then nice like good thing. So like at that point at that point I'm that might feel also worries for like to that sometimes like fight like the minimize while like the situation is like extremely advantageous for just the minimize player learning my friend. But like at that point the negativity might that would be quickly coming up as they would be returning to like quickly head off to that different bond like on the like that will African and it will be most likely might that will be coming up with like another plan which might be like definitely take advantage of the situation of that I think that festival which like currently taking place like it's like client the mayor client I think it's like the before definitely might be straight away telling it like the software puts that basically they to take advantage of like the situation of like being part of being with like part of the festival that thing and like Hawkins to like steal as many physical skill as many fireworks as they can and bring it to like bring up by facing off against like the minimized and just like because of that fireworks through fireworks they would be able to get to fireworks that alternate weapon that can provide heat as well as like at the same time both of which is like totally both of which like the minimum plan and expected next year would be along the lines of next ultimate strategy plan that comes from any something might that would be like revealing at that last second. So like I'm going to clear that one since like along like 11 Mike and Jordan and also that so basically taking the car and basically going through that festival first and basically them to that after still like stealing a whole lot of like fireworks from the physical location and like rolling it on to like the car the Jordan and the flame like then after like loading up all the fireworks that's decided to that go super important lead that when I'm considering that and I think that we will usually worried because last year about that because that from maintain and also point of view that they should only expecting that fight to be against like the mini mind plan and just like huge like so definitely since like silly like one of them like definitely nothing would be feeling uneasy and like about like definitely then kind of fight really so definitely I'm looking for in that most likely Mike and Andy possibly that coming up with like the strategy that's like how exactly to approach the fight against like the minimum player and expecting an army and that definitely Mike would be telling the secretary on to like definitely to for them to the track left and okay left again up that's the minimum player from 11 that to be that's the role that they all Mike and all that should play while for that like 11 so like we had we only focus on just like the fight against like the minimum player so first of all like Mike and others do that or something that they do their inspiration like to like be able to like fight 11 enough time to be able to that in that point of the 25 that 11 at that point to might slightly might be hoping to that give like give 11 that 11 within that time would be able to that in a 1.185 against like the minimum player to be able to like offer and if you can bring down like the minimum player to be totally what might be hoping to be possible to use strategy and everything that's the scenario that I'm available, right? So that way, at that point, like Max and Bobby feeling hopeful upon appearing his strategy, like Michael Wagner, like Butana, that I will go. And that way, by the time they will make it to last the spring bomb, they're out there, would be that at that point, like the minimum player. At that point, I'm looking like that way, in that as you just talking of like a scenario where like it would be obvious for all of them that like the minimum player would be like it would be like a transformed version of the minimum player where like there will be that dark side of the mini mind flare as well as like this black side monster form as well being merged into like the mini mind flare form. So like that way and like 10 days at that point like none of like the members of the mini mind flare will be at that location either. So like the and also the people in the system. So like, at that point I was by like seeing like the transform forms itself of like the mini mind flare and like that absolute shock like Maxine and all was probably realizing that like okay they won't be able to like a project going to like their writing and that will mean that the minimum that like the human army members have merged with like the minimum and to for like minimum to be able to like have this like form and that it is this form that ways have to like fight off against to get on the rest of it that's what we like when that nothing at that point like no one bottle is another that one the opportunity for like maybe once they will make it and see like movement there at that point like actually I know of the main cultures that like they are effectively and like the movement and having the so like at that point I'm just like most likely even doing like my trading for the power like basically making that shop related to like my temper with that being that billion, all of them, uh, uh, in that name of the form have that is removed with that in action. Again, on the night like I saw from the lesson and maybe be that would be so at that point I'm narratively like my kind of being absolutely soft and extremely blown away because of that myself next crisis is usually to lack of they have we went focus on like the fight against like an invite for that like in hopes that that way even though he was like about the game and take out like the invite and that way so that like they will be able to like sales tickets and more the human out of the measure that try the enforce that simply that which way like it's like the scenario that so that at that point that they will be facing with this that for comic different scenario that they have that fight like the minimum again that they won't be able to like take out like the minimum because like taking out like the minimum mean like then like losing all those like the loss of like almost like not about the perfection as permanent. So definitely during the so definitely usually small situation that can at point of notable like 11 and my can also like totally is that the force to like is the night one that condition strategy at that point. We should be like most likely to attempt to like take out like the minimum plan, but to like only usually we get like the minimum plan in that so that like in hope that that way the we can like to like usually we can like the minimum club and then to like put like the minimum club into like any different kind of like situation and then to like only increase like the temperature on that way in hope that it will like how they already like save will from that the control that the minimum club like they might be able to undo the merging and basically at that point as they be able to like say that even if one of like the human application of like the minimum club including the lines of the friend that they will be focused to like put that in then like and like uh, that them having that absolute experience quarter they more quarter than they will be expecting that fighting is like the minimum where like even though early on the point like element even at that point would be fast stronger than like the minimum simply because of like 11 years back having reduced having like the power which is like 11 was able to like force this the case which like not even like the giant of the Minecraft was able to like pull the forward from that 11 like taking of so by now in the like 11 power might now only start taking investing way more even compared to that strength that you don't have just back that influence of like possibility might be linked with you so like definitely my conditions are like the minimum club like even to like might down from that niveau and like this might be in actuality, but like this might be like the reason as well for like the minimum that we have taking off on due to like the minimum strategy of like the merging with like it's like team and a half of like turning like your army members into like more to like merge with us so that like element will be even and team would be probably won't be able to like straight away attempt to like take out like the minimum due to that mistake like you can want to like say that the team and army members of like the minimum and that rate on of the minimum if you along the line like the minimum would be the only thing so when the reason for like exactly the minimum player that was clear right now and like make that open challenge towards like 11 and what like having like constantly even allow 11 to that be able to like find that warehouse space of the minimal cloud through this memory. And everything might be the case. So definitely the minimal cloud right now at present might have that same power function that is used before that might is almost at the box down that definitely the minimal cloud which is also able to offer and defeat that 11 and even take control of that 11 and the line that the minimal cloud will be focusing as below function that might be like it is limit the game is running that way. Eventually, in that battle against the critical player and the defender, probably them all she's struggling solely due to like the fact of like them not being able to take out like the defense player and just most likely have to like think of like focus on like weakening and capture the defense player. So definitely that for that against the defense player injury will be resulting in like totally Mike and others definitely still using their whole firewall strategy as a defense player. It will be causing problems to that the main mindset in which like that is while definitely 11 will be using this 11 second can for to like constantly ensure to like keep like the main mindset from getting towards like Mike and others. While Mike and others like will be standing back and basically launching like typically launching the great and fire they love for and like launching it that as like the ultimate attack like the main mindset and like that light and like a bit from like the from like the firewalls to be like giving trouble to like the minimum player as well, and that will be allowing 11 to like keep like the minimum player that way away from like Mike and others like the scenario that but like after like eventually I'm just like Mike and others like only running out of like their firewall this is like the scenario that I'm going to go so like at that point I'm just like the at that point, I'm totally like the minimum to finally getting that edge on like the battleland. Basically, at that point, like when we started that struggle to like keep like the minimum away from like Mike and others, and that eventually like the minimum like making it towards like Mike and others, and basically will be like attack then like the scenario that I'm putting over the thing, and that way like I'm that whole situation like presenting in like even being forced to like step into like sort of like you know like have like the treatment level we about to take out like I'm just like like getting injected to like to save Mike and that way like getting badly injured by that of like of the movement like scenario that happens. And at that point, I'm looking like the scenario will be like 11 about to lose against like the main match like and basically because no like like example from the enemy match like landing on the like taking out a lot of the parameter just to like block it. And at that point, like as like the main mind player will be about to like take control of like 11 at that will like second is when I'm looking like effective like a scenario happening like I'm like phone rating at that all of them like the sunlight the reflection sunlight like would be but you are considered like for exactly at that moment that situation being favorable suddenly shifting and like the tide of the battle quickly in an uncertain manner like shifting solely in the favor of like 11 and Mike and others through like the sunrise like landing on like the minimum club. So like the minimum club I'm just like thinking of like only focus on like the bad negative and others like the minimum club might have only forgot about like not breaking and basis. I think that the sunlight landing on like the movement club and like the movement club getting completely affected. And I'm just by the like I'm looking like the darkness will have reduced darkness of the night will have reduced to like the point of that it will start like affect like the powers of the movement club like from that point on that 11 and seeing that totally like 11 totally being able to like fight back and take advantage of that situation into like totally eventually like even totally give me everything into the Pelican powers to while in using Pelican powers to like an extremely controlled manner. That way, that element eventually managing to like easily weaken like the minimum players like the scenario that anyway. And like I'm also predicting maybe while this whole battle would be going on, once like the firewall would be for maybe 1 month my food maybe do according to my plan once again if there are not to the festival location which might be nearby definitely to let's see and and more parallels as well. So so I'm going maybe go look at totally making it so that things get back to that exact location exactly right and lighting up more parallels and launching it at the minimum while 11 in the representative in that this quarterly and everything so those are can attack and component of project and minimize that and that way to that has to intense telling is attack and bring 11 probably lifting up this minimize class and basically giving up everything into that telling is about and lifting up the minimize class towards the exact area where sunlight hitting bottom and really keeping that the minimum exposed to that sunlight rays of sunlight is pushing away direct sunlight is at that point the scenario angle. So at that point the minimum screen in that pain and basically at that point the heat and the sunlight causing the minimum along with this merge form of the new monster basically affecting now getting that merge form getting unfound and basically the main mind that way getting split up from that human army and that way the human army affect the main mind turning that to offering human form and also while 11 would be continuing on that with that attack and basically with that more sunlight will be falling onto the human the main mind getting sort of the weekend and basically at that point the human army each of them would get them back to their self and even the control of the minds of the human army as well coming on that person army. So at that point I was about 11 would be and once 11 would be ensured that is an eligible one the human army number have come back to that original cell including and that point I'm focusing for form as well as form I think is the power of the header. I think and the other form Nancy as well all of them would be coming back to the non-human cell. And what will be ensuring that each of each element one of the human army come back to have return back to normal. That when I was for 11 with that absolute intense smile letting go of stuff letting go of the minimum class as scenario. So the minimum class will be falling from the age of sun the minimum class and the pain of it the minimum class will be falling down. And quickly at that point the minimum class should be attempting to run and escape from 11. So at that point I was putting 11 only being able to be free to to do stuff has your full strength of telekinesis first and the minute learn that ultimate telekinesis attack against so at that point 11 with any my straight away would be running and about the take and 11 launching an ultimate powerful telekinesis attack with current full strength and the minimum and instantly taking out the minimum the scenario that I'm about to and that point is on the will be extremely exhausted from the injuries and from using of telekinesis powers that 11 taking out the minimum and that point will come to 11 will be found and is the injury and mostly my only cold experiment is what we call so also the scenario that I'm looking over and with proud smile my people hold so with doing the scenario that I'm looking over and friends right. So the name of the ambition right now the name of not created at all for the team of Dustin Rika and Steve and Robin competing in from that competition in the in from the level of revenue and talking that scenario that and at that point I'm separating one complex machine will getting the code at that point from an entire black hole one thing happening in the town of Hawkins. And that of the town of Hawkins scenario that and I'm moving the black hole won't be soon running back definitely using the power plant being connected to this complex machine. Complex machine runs out from the power plant of black hole I think so definitely the reason I'm still the competition will be getting scored that affecting the power plant and everything the lights not turning back basically end up pocket losing electricity for a few days due to that so that's function of the competition in the scenario that so at that point I'm looking exactly at that point the situation of my parents along with sibling that is being on top of like the giant wheel, like on the front, while they will be at that top, they will just still staying at the top of like the giant wheel. Like it will be at that point exactly that like I'm like uh blackout at like the end of the episode will be happening with over like the scenarios like so like at that point that will become something like by sheer coincidence like exactly that point like that happening that blackout happening will be also giving like the minimal an extreme added or confidence in it like fight against like and increasing like a fight performance in it like fight against like 11 and double once like Mike and then like Mike and 11 and double doing it and like we like the fight against like the event that was really like I'm to be exactly at that point that I'm would like blackout and friends would be happening with like scenario that I'm so like at that point like the main club would be like seeing like how everything around it would like figure it out like and something like that would be giving like an environment like absolute feel of like the travel world and that way like the will change or content tools as well as like performance in like the fight performance of like the minimum class that like snap that and at that point of definitely for like the for to be like Mike's parents and like the big on top of the and things that will be getting that afternoon that's the come to like while you would like the bad of like the minimum against like Lebanon and Michael like now that so definitely I'm looking like bring on the house might not be that far at like that far of a distance from like where was like festival of like at night is like it maybe like crazy but so like yeah like due to it being like a fundamental permission during that point most likely being like extremely dark like still even though they won't be able to prepare for that parents they won't be able to like see the fight with that absolute clarity so that way due to the darkness like I'm like totally not being able to like see my channels like so yeah like I'm like due to like the minimum level like being like bigger insights and everything like and something like even in like the darkness and friendly that talk would be happening so chemistry would be happening for like my platform like there will be medicines would be like seeing this like would be hearing this like screams of that monster kind of like strange from coming from the internet trap while like the battle will be going on between like event and like my cameras against that like and definitely I'm also feeling like for like the most likely might not of most likely being able to like and maybe even faster being able to like barely to make out even in like the dark of like what might appear to be like a monster at like a distance from like the top of like from their view from like, the very top of the then he looked like finale and my opinion so like them getting that absolute shock of that scene that at my friends I don't think there's also like there is a scenario that I'm looking at and my injury so like the minimum premium right now is for like two positives and I don't like the I'm just wondering like the scenario seeing that by the time that everyone will be taking up like the minimum like the minimum like managing will like land a fight on most likely elements like put scenario that I'm basically like even though after that like everyone will be taking off like the minimum like scenario that I was doing. Still in that fight from like the half of that fight from the community the military having like future negative implications for like it's like significance for like in like the future. It's like it be like the next step for like Mike and Roger. Yeah, you need to like save event before like that implication will be like getting into next year. There's like the one possibility that I'm looking at for like the episode name being Mike. It's like one possibility that the other possibility that I'm looking is for like fight might be like eventually ending up being like trap that can be like Mike and the will be setting up because like for like the main mind flare which like the main mind class would be for that right trap and basically taking that fight would be what like the so being fight might be select other possibility that I'm just like me right now it's just like Mike's like sibling like basically come like the top of like the and we like note six three smooth so that we understand like that and definitely like the minimum class like what we are watching in to just like the minimum class might not be like weight anymore so like it might be that upload or 100% you are watching towards like the exact location where like 11 and Mike and those it's like all of us with that definitely like so definitely when events just now had seen like different more had like through the dark world like had found Billy and basically had found like the like and found like involved that like at that point like that act of that event might have just running like the event player as well, like really instantly at the very moment, like being to like exactly track down exactly where 11 and Mike and all the up maybe the case. So it's maybe the reason for like all these like trees that instrumentally like the giant minimize player like basically we are rushing towards like the Mike and all like the output that I'm like so like when you'll be able to like easily send like this happening like the minimum like closing into it like okay losing 11 spouse might be like also the case but so like before like sending back and like 11 and the different like still really or getting that up towards like make and also definitely that like there at this point like they don't have like to like bound where of that like the minimum club itself is like a machine towards like that is nuclear like they are willing to like make and then like even though initially they will be bad like still like they will be mostly quickly franchising and like that strategy will be most likely to be a part of that strategy like I'm thinking like perhaps they will be like quickly like deciding to like set for like the minimum plan and get the other location that they will be they are just like in the surrounding area like in that they will be setting up perhaps and as part of like for the minimum plan and as part of like the fact like one of the main fact would be like more quickly like to be right now it's like most likely try to be capture like client like festival location like and basically would be stealing a whole lot of like essentially stealing a whole lot of like the fireworks and bringing it to like 11 and might have all and they will be like setting up like all the fireworks and basically in such a way that basically exactly why multiple fireworks in such a way that exactly why like the minimum is showing up to that location like at that point for like with like single execution like multiple fireworks to that straightaway like straightaway land at like the minimum and at that point for them to like for like 11 to like straightaway launch attack at the minimum maybe along the lines maybe like they will use transaction and maybe that we how like the minimum like taking the bike and they think taking the bike and basically that way that point for that particular also like exploring for that. Yet like I'm sitting the message that definitely for that scenario definitely to eventually happen where like Mike and also we don't make their expectation for like the minimum for their bad against like the defense and really like then having that them for fighting against like the minimum club has been like the minimum club. So yeah, that could have been not the case that like I'm so I'm like just like the single in an article of the minimum plan. So we just like the transform alternate form, merge form of that the design so should be that which will definitely be ending up creating that as the short for like Michael Lewis and like them being forced to like change their plan to like we can then capture like the minimum graph so that like they can say things so it's like I mean the scenario that is one more here. The million thing right now so like one like fascinating which makes it to like suffer through like things like at that point I'm definitely putting like before like right before like they will be stepping out and right before like second bit of law like and like it's only most definitely a record that will be coming up with like the strategy and lines to that only to prevent like to stop like the elevator from closing. So most likely quickly I'm looking for like custom and organically like taking one of like the boxes in like the elevator and basically it will be placing it between like the closing doors and that will preventing like the elevator door or closing after they would have made it through the surface like the scenario that in that way like they could like because like main plan like I'm looking like that way the a bunch of process in like the kind of the level of is like the model of how can like getting trapped and in that energy level and not being able to like get kind of like a situation like that in the so because in like the exit of things like things that so at that point, I'm looking like with that Steve husband as like Robert in the like and Rousey kind of like state like I'm cutting like don't be maybe assigning Erica to like watch over and like nothing could be like phone like pop out straight away. It's like the scenario that I'm doing and like you're revealing this like situation in that focus. So like at that point, I'm going to bring that opportunity totally absolutely like reason really excited to stop at like the achievement of like just a group of like regard dustbin as well as like steel and just like the four of them their achievement like, of like really wrapping like the industry of like the Russian book in like that kind of the level of unit like the amount of like that could be totally in an unbelievable extent of like basically a pleasing exciting shock for like pop up and joy. and maybe when right for like government as well as like even for might be also the even there. So definitely at that point, and I'm just going like also like the scenario to be like one like the team of like the team of Robin and just for example to make it to like the support from the elevator like at that point the thing that there at least would be only a single action block standing inside like the elevator under the like the scenario that I'm looking at. That would be more likely due to like this like the reason be more likely due to like this like currently at present like this like festival happening in like Robin by client. So definitely if that like there might be actually not much citizens of office at all like showing up to like the mall during that night at all. So even so like there's only one person that can standing outside like the but who comes up definitely putting like through that absolute sincere state of like often as well as being that the moment they will be stepping out like and conducting that machine that I'm only saying that that thing I think that would maybe the like maybe doing it we did probably show and like would be straight away as would be about it like then like that has the serial system to understand as well as like would be attacking and attacking and like knocking that person out unconscious at that point. That's the scenario that I'm looking at. So like that way actually I in like once like through the point of like in like to copyright like properly something and copyright of basically that way for only straight away telling the still and the to like from none of them to like not about leave that area and like probably 3% for probably not even promising that like a badge of like bravery or something like in front of like the public to give recognition for like having bravery and achievement. Along the line, somebody can like over to the accident rate when reached to like the achievement of like listing Karika and Steve and all like was not so like at that point, like Dustin would be cleaning up the found as well, and like a recap would be for the as well. So like they'll be like listening to the cop and standing right there outside like the elevator, open elevator like open stage, with that box in between that the block of the elevator is like to announce that. So without really like thing like pop up that environment as well as now so that like scenario that I'm so like lovely offer like quickly compare the things that kind of the basically offer me at that point like offer and going to be asking them for like bill um as well as like 11 like they have to where they are and these even though the components that like component I don't think we have explain like the anything that can see them for right and so like there is that worry but it's still that worry and even with like the humans and like still there will be still that extended like worry within like those as well as like copper the levels of network copper as well as like those put out phone and phone like the form of like form of like the form of like those but like not the major like when even though that proper and Jones might have assumed that like the majorly like the location like the two and like like this meeting up with like like maybe once again like proper or like Jones like phoning and like first like brings home and then that like proper phone like was narrow that so like like that point I'm and also like the solution will be like the panic against like the minimum club like having just begun between like element and like the ring of Mike and like those is like the midnight battle in like that for fighting from like how to begin. So like at that point while this battle will be going on and Mike and also will be like always started. Like at that point that's like one to the and also another maybe at that point like phone call from that hopper happening at like hopper phone so that because that so like hearing like sound of the phone ringing phone like also suddenly look up Marian and being like want to like quickly while Mike and also be fighting against like when you went there and people like 11 of the people fighting against Mike and those would be having that would be involved no clue at all like how to attack with that powerful monster so at that point, I'm looking like Lucas probably parking it to like my finger into like the house and picking up like the phone. And I'm just like Lucas been has been really that like how and like straight away shouting out on like the phone. And that absolute and we are telling like Hopper about like the mini mind plan like that can basically it's attacking up would be along the line like Lucas only talking about food. So like at that point like Hopper probably panicking and being for making it as well as like go to the report straight away like Sam would be taking the car straight away from the restaurant and then right before they're like, heading off like I'm feeling like absolutely bad like wanting like going but so like the film for at that point would be telling Dustin to like stay there exactly along with like Sarika and that Hopper would be at that point that would be looking at like Smirnoff, and then like this Hopper by then would be having that absolute trust on like Smirnoff, that like Smirnoff would be definitely never betray that, and that like Hopper and basically like Tony leave batting Smirnoff on the sofa and like undoing Smirnoff and Dustin basically telling Smirnoff to like stand to help Dustin and Harry and to like stand up until that Owens that forces will be showing up to be along the lines, and and that like Hopper will be giving that restrictor reassurance as well to like Smirnoff, that like Hopper would be ensuring that Smirnoff would be getting out of the on the whole situation, like that uh, Smirnoff was like a part of that is eventually safely would be along the lines, like probably given that assurance to like Smirnoff, which will be like making Smirnoff smile was actually convert like the scenario that so like pop up that we are playing Smirnoff along with like and Erica along with like Steve as well as like Robin Hood, you know, standing Steve as well as Robin Hood is still in that council stage, so definitely now that has really made the fact that of signing like some of us to like stay there at like in front of like the eleven to until like on time like fourth side then another and that way like I'm like me hop up and joy along with like more bomb and like in that taking the car and that rushing off to like not seeing like how like what's the so like this is like one point scenario like how come is leading to that sort of from endlessly even sort of finding out about like this like what is great and like fight against like the main like lab and the whole thing. It's like one point scenario that I'm like or like the possible scenario that I'm for like how come totally assume like example like assigning someone of to that and the like Sarika and has mechanism like why hop up like maybe instead of like phoning again like maybe hop up like deciding probably only assuming that they will definitely at like focus here 11 and also get like so like focus we are asking to like focus here around special with Moradona. At that point like Moradona might want to like stay at like the location of like the mall but like maybe hop up so like forcing woman to like come along with the because like Hopper would definitely having that fear that like the possibility of that maybe like the most of by now having like a theater on the gate and maybe like 11 being a place of it's like that I'm going to so definitely due to like teaching 11 itself that has closed the gate like actually always like not just having that absolute angle towards like 11 and specifically targeting the previous possibility that like Hopper we only see so definitely a pop-up that would be thing of that having as much help that being to the advantage so definitely like probably for taking like permanent vectors to kind of be I don't like permanent permanent like those are trading off to like the festival and they are like accessible like they will be finding like neither 11 law might or like the like a scenario that so like at that point maybe like offer probably offering probably running into that might like the scenario that then probably really spend already asking them their song like my or like will so like an like my class let's saying that they never saw to like the scenario that so like at that point I'm just going like maybe like the sibling of like my like they feel at that point like maybe like at that point like they're really saying that like the trees were moving along the lines that she will be saying that what she has seen from the top then that that just saying that look that point in front of like our vendors like this scenario. So like I'm just like proper and like that's what we job and like sharing that. And basically that it's really like proper and to be like looking at each other and basically to be asking the sibling to make it like where exactly she saw that the tree move and basically she will be pointing at like that specific direction from like the school where like the tree should be in the exact direction that will be leading towards like opposite. It's like one constant scenario that way like operators actually have to work and will be straight away like getting on the staff and it will be straight away like along with like bombing that straight away getting off to that office and basically that way like them softly finding that the main wife that they will be getting to like house of like how like that also like then softly saying how that especially like most of like minimize that like the scenario that I'm prepared. This is like one other property that I'm so like how corporate so we'll be finding out about this like situation of like the minimize and like the range the image like the and also often reflect the property that is like for today that I'm doing is for like eventually one of the months like of enjoy alongside Maradona, everything made it to like the festival. Like at that point, I was like them totally running into like my friends and asking them about like Mike and like maybe why Mike sibling would be telling them about like the three small like the at that point, it's a number of naming that then that if like the people in the country hearing this like most it's like scream that's exactly the action that all it how there's like the scenario that like the people talking being absolutely shocked and people are like and that's the crowd like the people being absolutely shocked and panic. So like at that point the company like pop up only using like weapon to like the Skype and basically that probably instantly like coming out like the fans crowd and basically pop up shouting out to like at that point that authority like shouting out that both in a bold manner like shouting out to the crowd like to like not even make a move and to stay exactly right there and basically pop up totally quickly around lectures and like government like totally uh to straight away get on to their path and basically straight away like so exactly and the corruption from like the point screen of the monster and that is exactly the adaptation of like and that way like Coca get and like format like swelling up to that exactly level and seeing like the family situation is like 11 and Mike and Bubble could be in that fighting is like an and definitely I'm still remember the things in that like Revolver left out like actually would be happen for Revolver like car would be totally most likely loan with like different like one possibility that I'm and the scenario is the being like them totally making it there on and that on the car which might not be exactly what I want to car like even if it's not it's the scenario is like the car not being like a rebound car like that's the case then still like still before like environment left his like secret phase like environment might have taken all of his weapons and might have put his stack it up onto like the passport and definitely environment will be that or that unique kind of weapon that environment may be only proud of that he himself might have made like this another so like environment like he that taking out all that weapon which is being like the front of like the car and basically that way that's the team of like enforcement arriving that way of that the team of that pop up Joyce and that environment crossing into the fight and it was like at that point I was like Mike and 11 and all who did only that would be feeling like they are losing hope uh, because like they will be not even seeing like really for like anybody else and like, so they will be probably by then will be coming down to the conclusion of like most likely um, like the minimal flag like most form of that Chilean they will be so like they will be in that situation where like they won't be able to like they won't be able to like take out like that means and to like we can and get the minimal flag so that that situation itself and that limitation itself will be causing them to get easily get formed by the minimal flag like scenario so like at that point, while they're in a situation while they'll be or losing the hope, like at that point is another point like the reinforcement of that show pop up and like Reboman showing up and that was like Reboman's that and that self that would be straight away boosting that the immediate one that Mike and the like that has been more as like the one only as would be facing one black hopper will be showing up with not that so with that added morale to that one like constantly fighting back even strong things like something like that. And like using that morale moment like a unique weapon from like pop up as well as like things fighting off against like a defense and like the morale comment and the most like morale moment also maybe handling handing over like weapon to that maybe the Nancy and Morton as well. And then all collectively fighting against that the minimize selecting scenario that I'm supposed to do. And my correct. And the sitting them independent that like eventually it will be most likely the fact that will be found. It will eventually be able to like finally bring down like the main mind flare and became like the main mind flare from the be the fact of that one like song will be writing and like the sun will be shining. Like that would be like a factor that would be putting about like that absolute defeat of like the minimize that. Like and even Sunday he would be even putting in that billion dollars, even getting saved as the uh, like benefits of the scenario. It's become the so like the movement during right now, especially for like it's like a single attack from like just one of like the links of like the meaningful mind flare itself from like right now for like narratively like the entirety of like the whole of like of getting taken off just like the scenario variables again. That the point would be like that point that not where like the fight between like 11 and like Mike and the others versus like the mini mind graph would be the that scenario that I'm going to open up. Like the theory I'm mentioning right now is for like made that market for virtually being like one like the reinforcement for another thing like the reinforcement team of like Papa Joyce and like Murray Format will be showing up uh to like save it and others like exactly the scenario that I'm bringing that when I'm maybe it will be them that the reinforcement team that might be bringing that for those like killing quantity of black fibers from black the fibers to use that to use that ultimate weapon against black against black in Minecraft. So the black in the box scenario where I was trying to right now. So like definitely going to mention right now definitely for like Nancy's like weapon and then so that may not be able to that free 11 from that but like the Minecraft right now like the scenario that I'm going to and like I'm supporting right now most likely as like how 11 will be most likely free subside that can be that will be most likely through 11 right now. This that critical situation that comes from that resulting in that 11. So small pressurized situation resulting in that 11. Gaining that the ability to clear like adapt to like the situation that even that powers that expanding to the point of like 11 being able to like this telekinetic powers even with that 11 like feet has well, not just hands but also the feet has well. So it's like the scenario that I'm so like right now while at present as like the minimum players that like 11 like while holding on to one of 11 like that with like my kind of like holding on to like both around like answers well I'm preparing right now for like 11 to like treat upsell by like by using by while shooting out like intelligence attacks with single three in that in like three upsell from like getting transfer of that minimum uh, at that point of like the scenario that I was about to recommend. So I'm guessing like it would be at that point that I was more like 11 totally would be gaining extra power to that use of telekinetic power in like such attackful and calculating manner to make up that he's able to like levitate and actually fly. It's like the scenario that I go over. In like that way, like 11 quickly being able to like use like the situation like totally frustrated situation is something like 11 like totally right now just like double related or like leading it like this telekinetic power on both feet and I think by directing it that telekinetic like powers onto like the ground like 11 seeing it like take flight and flies like scenario that in that way like an agent can from 11 side like 11 probably flying up to like the sky and like from like the sky like 11 will be like shooting out like telekinesis attack using both of like pumps that can see like while flying and taunting like the tentacle like lip of like the minimize cloud which like it will be trying to like land it like attack and like when taunting it and it's one of the that using some telekinesis power from the feet to like like flight and basically that way it taunts that each and every thing attack like in my blast by scientifically tapping back and launching back telegram attack is found at like sending my blast and doing damage to that in my blast. So like just try to and like if you working out for like something that of like why just like the enough and the clear like my candles will be easily blown away by that elements like power like getting that so much like the initial scenario so I don't know the kind of thing minimum preemption right now certainly for like thing of like Mike Johnson and also that they are right now definitely substituting in like getting it to that the optical like the scenario that right. And even by the time they will be even getting eventually the crossing that fight not of that the minimum player like and that would be already starting to like slowly get work out like the scenario that really then would be at that point going through like like different pain and like the pain as well would be continuously getting worked up as well as like the scenario that so like what might be only extremely worried for like 11. And I was wondering like the doctor as well who will take confused up to that and I'm looking like John like and then she also like lying about like if it was like about animal uh like the injury of that on like 11 like and everything. So but they are like the doctor giving like the medicine but still like the scenario being like the pain only getting worse and like the wound as well getting worse and that one is like the scenario that are better than the like so and that when I was like all of them will be strongly feeling that is definitely that if that the wound needs to like subside like they definitely have to like bring down and take out that turning my friend giving the lines like 0 thing. So like at that point I'm like them hearing like Nancy Doty like announcing like the sound like fireworks like the scenario that so like at that point like Nancy will be absolutely extremely triggered to the extreme, connecting to like the monster of like the password and like the main right and the like and everything. Actually, because like Nancy I already lost like data and everything. So definitely I'm looking like Nancy will be at that point that getting in an instance with like an instance we just feel like a different like Nancy would be like why Eleven would be in going through that absolute extreme pain and everything like that better kind of experience like Nancy will be straight away getting up and basically would be telling them that she's going to like like bring down that minimum level they organize like an FP with declaring in that turn and see the plan and Nancy will be straight away heading that like you know to like the fireworks to it. It's like the scenario that so like and that then the flame will going like Jordan as well going along with up and then W like Lucas as well as will also going around them especially in like really they will be telling Mike to like stay like levels. For the 411 to be going to the extreme debate at that time, it's like the scenario therapy. So like Mike saying that like 11 and like hospital while actually like Nancy will be that we absolutely become into like take absolute advantage of the situation of like the minimum class that they will like like attack like in kind of like a funding that because the ratio so the blame like that as what intend to like definitely take out like the minimum class like Nancy along with like John as well as like and then getting on to the and then like them totally making it feel into the scale and like then probably feeling a whole lot of like fireworks and like loading it on Johnson and loading it all on to like the front of the car like not that of and like then quickly like and take the car and make it to that exact location like on home like the scenario that and once they make it there like there will be like still like the minimum player they said at that another occasion to be still that is friendly kind of like due to that attack of like so the clear different that coincidence family like Santi and Jonathan like taking on the fireworks and in like the fireworks at like 71 to like in our that I'm looking very good. And that way like the round two of like the band like millions happening and that like scenario while the team of like Nancy Jonathan and like Luke was like right yeah. So like then for attacking to like the fireworks like scenario so definitely like that far was once like fireworks will be landing as like the event will be getting hugely affected option due to that the heat and like the fireworks like the synapse and so once like that attack against like the event will be going well like in these things nothing in like the event still struggling its way to like manage like some might call that attack and like one of them and like Jonathan and Steve they are like their collection of their values and so like not to be over. So like by the like I'm looking like the minimum will be like managing to like get a hold of that I most likely will like open our and so like as like they will be getting back towards like the segment like yeah like in this case like I'm thinking of a bike to definitely and like in the 11th case like a bike to definitely like not that like they're getting like full towards like the so like at that point is when I'm by the like in like the scenario is like pop up videos and like moments. That's what I'm with of friends would be most likely I think for them to like by then like make it to like festival and like be searching for like 11 and will and so at that point of time like my strategy would have totally been like months like again along with like and then and it was gonna sort of to like the by the to like take away like listen out there. They also get totally worried because of like friends like not knowing exactly like along with like Nancy and like will have like one of so like at that point when I'm looking like uh the worried like choice as well as like proper like only so he's seeing like fireworks like happening at like exact location of like opposite on like the road. Like there have been multiple pilots like so at that point I'm definitely like those influence like proper like quickly getting onto the car and like quickly making it to that location like focus on. So like at that point like them to be probably seeing like this like mini mind player and like the fight like and like again and often like struggling the fight against like the mini like so at that point I'm like it will be most likely and by the time like pop up and just to be making it there like then as well will be like scaling about and percent uh of like travel from the and bringing that like the scenario that both of that definitely like pop up and they also be totally getting that feeling that most likely that of like the positivity of like on the past world like basically being the reason for like the and like the will and the all of them like getting into problems against these not what the reason for like forming firewalls like hacking connections exactly around like the area like also from the data like they will be getting. So like definitely that they will be like straight away like company of investigating of like collecting taking a bunch of files from like the SQL and straight away them trading off and making that and that way bring that it will be most likely choice that like on making that we will often seeing that community like dragging away that will towards it. So like at that point I'm like it was like need choice but like launching that one of like the was exactly at like the minimize uh while the situation would be like the collection of like the samples of like the team of like Jonathan and will be totally over. So like they won't be able to like phase it. So like as like when they were getting pulled towards like the new like and that form on like the reinforcing thing like of the more about one of like going to be seeing like this like strong side of that will be towards like so the choice that I'm actively taking off putting out like the firewall and launching the firewall and landing exactly at like the minimum and saving with a Slack scenario that I'm looking at, like then like the reinforcement attack against like my class of like the firewall like happening and like that way like so like the firewall how I'm like the usually like the minimize lab getting taken out is like the scenario that I was trying like so like that collective fee from like right from like almost greater than what firewalls coupled with like I'm saying like by then like definitely like for and possibly breaking so like the be there. So like all this collectively so something in like the minimum like only not only those in the power like but getting vegan to like the point of that basically it's not being able to like hold on to it's like handle all of like you know it's as well as it's like this form of like you know that way like numbers like once like the minimum that way would be getting defeated like in like the immunity is like all of them like in the end all running back to the hospital like it's not that amazing and like most likely like the minimum plan like definitely due to like the collective farmers, it's like in the setting in like that getting fully taken off as well. So it's like the scenario that I need to go with, right? And even after like all this happens like I'm looking like at that point like Nancy and Jonathan and that bit and all coming to talking thing in that area and probably were really asking them about like that levels and like they will be like Nancy and they've been very very like talk about like this situation with like even like and like about like the fight that Eleven has like from like the me and everything. So like Hopper will be talking about it, but like Nancy will be at that point space to Hopper like maybe definitely been selected in when class has been taken out like actually the fight would have definitely expanded we might have actually the side that would be along the line like and Nancy will be like constantly hey Jared Hopper. Yeah, like Hopper is bowling and things would be quickly passing to like the hospital. And like I'm pretty much like Hopper making him feel like the hospital like Hopper having that shocking realization of like a scenario where like that and that way like situation of like element will be like the fight of like the injury and like the fight like getting even worse and basically like the pain of like as well getting worse and like still it have not applied even after like the minimum have taken off. Just like the scenario that man perfectly with that like I'm friend as how that not like them like shooting because right and then like they can see the score of like strain of things and like will be like the brainstorming by like when they are team as to like all I'm looking like doesn't create like we can bring them that maybe feel 11 cents like 11 might be able to make sense that usually while the phone and the main nobody knows and stuff like usually maybe through 11 like they will not like my kind of super body worried for like anyone and like only countries that's like my team just technology that they are like the moon remains and all player remains but like so I'm thinking like usually 11 subset like I'm might be like sense like actually like security and might be able to like sense and really do that my kind of this time really it's because of like the content of like the existence of like the giant organ might exactly around the 1980 we are getting direct my that like the giant organ mind like the notions in like the Taliban has been taken off on the form like wounds and that would be like that's what really affecting that everything that way that might can be help. So like I'm still that way like this is the form thing like I might can like brainstorming and creating that master plan to like okay integrate into that facade board and basically to as to like how exactly they will be able to like break down that's the giant ultimate like myself and like say like the scenario that I'm going and maybe yeah and so like I'm totally like the first half of like season 4 thing the thing being all of like that like, and by the team of like Steve and Robin Hobb that would be like ending up being part of it again. Okay. Then all collectively they definitely determine to like say and I'm becoming like Robin as well, like probably finding out about like, the bad word and everything and repeat stealing and everything like it's not better and then all collectively only like would be brainstorming and like of like season four and things that like to do it like that and like it will be like the second half of like season four things that like they will be taking all of their plans and spending into like and will be starting to like integrate back do like the bad word and this point, like maybe if they go like maybe the go 11 will be going to about that like the same like still so 11 tell like and like then 11 like managing the create that small tab into like the tab and then like 11 will be really telling them literally to like totally to leave 11 and leave to like not even without their life but like definitely how probably doesn't let's say learn so actually literally 11 so they bring it like this another in that way 11 so opening like opening up the gates to like the parallel and basically like and even more than that like maybe like I'm being what like maybe like 11 definitely no matter how much like offer will be 11 to like open the gate like 11 will be agreeing to like the lives of like the uh front that and the people that will get more like for like 11 specific element it's like another that for example to that element pain like the that pain and the injury will be also in like element being so extremely get both in looking at the being like the total logo like the most parent. So that way I'm just like maybe like pop up at that point coming up with like the idea to like when we find Gary and the great reason that Gary will get with your fitness for Gary sentence for that so like creating the value. And even I have Gary technically part of like the army and actually Gary frequenting so to they were scanning like when they were talking sense like being able to like in that fight again to bring down like the death mind those were like into possible turn out and that way like that pop up along with lactose probably tending off again back to like and maybe finding Gary. It's like the of movies that I'm about the quick. Unless like Gary has already been like taken control by like the giant mind club. That as well is also like awesome especially due to like due to that's how this squad and like how we get the mind club using all of this like members by like transporting facilities that's definitely that may be definitely intended for like the wine is connected to like the gate to like the parable. So like, yeah, that as well as like a source for that like maybe carry some of the carry already being implemented of like uh, of like the giant mind club to be like carry maybe at some point in like the past year like actually why you have power like ending up offering to like the parable without realizing what is happening in the carry and then like exploring like that what ending up getting false and under like the tongue of like the giant fulfillment lab. And that way like like maybe already like said like that warehouse like the gate as well as like wines from that date slowly expanding and like wines from that date as well on being put and then maybe even an plan like up as well in that being like that of this so like I'm also all being got into and the compound can go to the to which might be the reason for like all this to create that plan like up and then like the reason for like all this like going up listen it's also like about that so that way like I'm like most likely that way that but like literally in that season for like towards like second half of season four where I'm going to get some of like I'm so looking like opponent actually integrating into that and back to that style body and like then probably that one that journey to like that actually on the school that actually that actually move to like really find and learn how to the giant company mind that and save 11 before selecting the selected wherever you can chance that can like some maybe along the way like them going running into like Cal at some point and basically put that up to still like and Cali not seeing them like them seeing Cali and like that up to still like them somehow managing to that really it's gonna like the control of that design like that of Cali so also like a remote of development in that way like then getting Cali on to like that and that way like so that way, them having Danny join the main and they will consider them that way right now, like the giant original mic player. And that way, like them clearly managing to that save. 11 before that before it's like too late at the very last point. Just like the both scenario, other possible scenario, anything like that. So the main instance right now is definitely that like the Minecraft, like the weakness of like the Minecraft might see actually it's that head portion itself might be like the actual representation that new of the method actually like this as well might be the reason for like a fundamental printing in a scenario where like definitely even after like, getting 11 to like the hospital admitted to like the hospital, like I'm definitely definitely on this point like by the time that injury Nancy and Jordan and like no secondly Lucas and we're returning back going up to like the barrel stealing like the barrel and returning back to like with the hopes that like the with the hopes that like the main man collapse will be permanent and like the house as that house that location that definitely for Nancy will be getting the feeling at that point that is most likely that's the weakness of like the minimal being is like that or like I'm looking like well there will be like I think eventually like maybe at that point like maybe uh, by then like once like Eleven had landed, Eleven's like attack on like the that area of like the minimum like at that point like Eleven might have also have that actual realization that like that head process is like the weakness of like not only the minimum player but also of like the stand in the mind player as well like it's like the head person that like ultimately will be along the lines of the that Eleven maybe right now or be having such a realization and Eleven was even revealing that to like Mike and the while they will be rushing them to let down. So like a bit that maybe that creating that actual motivation as well for like Nancy to like take advantage of like situation and like will take on the feeling due to that risk factor like Nancy might be also feeling that like the main mind player might have not been able to get enough from that and might have not been able to yeah escape far escape at all or even far from like the copper stone the like copper stone due to that in getting that injury point that it's like weak point to get on the line like Nancy it's also like about to do that. So it's sort of remember bring some like bring in the scenario of like Nancy and John and like that would be I don't like both of them would be able to like make it back and basically once again continue like the paddling into like the minimum on around space that it's also like thing that wasn't enough that I'm thinking about. Okay, like after bringing that around to battle, I'm also feeling like that way that the team of like Nancy and Johnson and like Wilson will like all of them like to lead down like focusing like the aim of like the fireworks attack exactly on like the head area, like the paddling minimum club. To bring it down at, by attacking like each other, like it's an algorithm. So even though like the minimum club, like even though at that point it's paddling like I'm like with its like multiple limbs and everything, it will be like hard for like John and Nancy to like exactly land like the fireworks attack exactly on like the hit area. Still, the different like maybe I'm slowly them managing to land like exactly on the weak point like slowly when we like the scenario should be as well that will be one of like the like the final attack like in one like the reinforcement of office and team will be arriving to implement the selectively like Johnson and Nancy that will be revealing to that about like the weak point of like the monster being its like area and that way like that the clear final like firework attack that will be landing exactly that at like second area will be what like finally would be like something the point like and taking out the mini Minecraft. So it's left in the scenario that I think on the yes, the name of mentioned right now is definitely problem. So there have to be only one of like the somebody like two pieces to actually like shut down like the conversation like I'm so only one of like the pieces of that will be for them at like Indiana might be like actual situation in then the second week might be present at like that exact underground someone who's in that week for the second half might be like that so the situation is definitely different. So like definitely on the like scenario to be like the team of that hopper and Chrome that open source and not like them solely so fully making it to like Indiana and like really managing to like steal that see but the like the economic and like on their way back to like Hawkins like what they will be entering Hawkins like like they delay or like so something like for like that Russian spy agent like basically him like that Russian spy agent like him totally focus and totally running into it. It's like doesn't have a thing on this like by this like by sheer person it's like doesn't have that experience. Straight away like I'm like pop and through this straight away I'm rushing towards like the mall and like this like a person spy agent will be straight away on their face And like at that point, I'm like the only scenario that can motivate them prioritizing steps at all and like things get using like weapon while chasing up like the car of like open and like basically like in while using it like multiple times like one of us like attack like totally weapon attack totally landing on like not like not getting back not getting back means that when you like the scenario that I'm and multiplying like in the case of like the group of like 11 Mike and all of them like they're not talking right now without only a skill that basically equal because of that 11 lack of the searching for like Billy through the dark void to like find like the face of like the of like the warehouse of like the Billy mind player right like the main man player was able to like know the location of that 11 and basically had showed up to like the focus 11 like home with that assumption of like 11 and Mike and those might actually be wrong, especially in the reference because like especially totally puts it that out really it is that like even while the might taking control of like believe in like the after that really having uh, like seen 11 and everything. So the belief that the minimate then while to send up and move the like long ball that may have been patiently waiting for like the right moment until like the minimate and confident enough to like take on it. Might be like that minimum the family. So like it might take 40 to at the minimate in the at just very current night of like the festival like might have been when like an Indian club might have finally set confident in that I can easy confident or confident that is what maybe actually like take off there. Maybe like that with the so uh so like even the group of like Nancy Jonathan and 11 might get off on that basically put their from that they might like like still like I'm saying like the movement that will be taking up like the group of like Mike and 11 all of them who are currently at this like shop it's like this and like specifically since like in like the past it was retail that even after 11 has closed the case in like run energy like like the fact that like by 11 was like acting with like Mike and that's bold times like is the fact that like the giant mind was like exactly at like the location of that in like the band that exact location that's the golden building was that is like the that might be correlating that might have been correlating that for example home mind lab being able to that know exactly like the location of production in like the real time. And it might be solely through most likely the giant of the mind lab like most likely then back then like by then like having back then have most likely taking control of that likely like the battle working and who might out in like the past might out but captured by the papers in red one that I'm really might have a lot of hands on details of the cases to learn more concepts and might have been like the case and like that Facebook human rights more and the children might have been like the more that had tried to like communicate with like in like the dark side back to the next kind of testing on the when I think like the project or like the spine step minimum I think it's supposed to like the actually just like the games that are like the fact that during like that's no more than like the fact that like Jan posted share amount of yeah exactly the 11 ball like the real world might have definitely lead to like back end while taking control of like the value to make also take like this amount of like basically like the values of 11 as well might have had like the cooperating transformed into like this might have had like thinking power as well as like telepathy power as well as like power to like act in our way and stuff for anything to maybe like that to like about so definitely once like the once like share amount of profiling share amount of make out into taken control of like the bad business and to make out into like business and more so at that point I'm thinking so that the prevention even though like the bad version of the event might have nothing to do like just similar concept might have no on that one like phone like might have no that how that maybe telekinesis or telepathic powers like still might have had the power to access the dark world and stuff for like any target it wants like basically that power alone like might have enabled the basically it might be how like the uh, uh, giant person mind player like basically by which that control power like was like facing similar amount of might have maybe managed to like mark now 11 by 7 like that is like might think that the past in that snowball I think like the case of might have been like that in the situation so like through such a manner like I'm on the right now like the person like the giant person mindflayer like and right now only communicating with like the main mindflayer. So I think as the doing that we can into that like the head person will be definitely likely might be like the weakness of like what like the mid long just like the main mindflayer but also like the giant mindflayer but the human thing. So right now but like the mini mindflayer like and it might be easily affected by 11 like and things like that that is landed on like headphones in mini mindflayer. Yeah, like I'm thinking like to overcome this like that channel like like the minimum right now most likely like turning it transforming into like just multiple form of incentives like the scenario that I'm looking for this thing and like that way like multiple that way multiple minimum players like by also maintain an Excel like the scenario but we are looking that so minimum players still when while like right now fighting attacking and that we still might have that fear to like totally go all out when it comes to like even like the mobile phone apps then and basically straight away walking into like the public into like the cities and like launching like an all out like public attack that would be one thing like the element is taken to care about like for like such a scenario that way like actually for like the entire in the real world to like actually know about like the element like that might be something that the element might still working on about might be like active this so like right now and that might be the reason for like it even if while like the element have not in like the current night have not had that like got to like focus on like fight like it might not actually ensure to like take like the path through the forest and from like the warehouse inbound warehouse to like leading to that problems might be like exactly the motivation. So like any similar manner like anything like implement like the minimum like uh that transforming into like multiple mini even tinier forms like minimum and like conductor or rushing through like the force like and then like each one of like those minimum something maybe seeing like the life of like maybe like the space like dark like monsters or like around like the size of like the big finger which is like enough that that way multiple minimum players like this actually like the form start with leading to and chasing nothing like the relevant with like my general platform and then we're going to through like the help of like design of the Minecraft and like it will be okay luckily to be able to like communicate with like the mini Minecraft. You will like again being like kind of like similar of like state in like the thing is like the the product like the giant Minecraft like actually being able to like communicate with like the mini Minecraft and like really like the current open location of like and give the order to like the mini Minecraft to like bring down the one bring down the 11 that to that defeat 11 and then take control of 11 like that to do. So that the table print of like like getting like the sorry that's you know like alignment to that pure like the five month on like 11 like five injury on like 11 like I'm like the logo of that 11 jump and then all of like basically deciding to like head over to Mike's home like the scenario that Mike's home and basically to like rethink any strategy on like what to do actually next while staying at like my home for the time being. It's like the scenario that I'm doing. Right? So definitely it was like my parents being at like the field and everything. So definitely I'm then deciding to like for the time being head over to like my home and definitely not with home because like definitely in like the past like the mind since like the mind club already know of like the location like in home had even sent it the last like month to like bring home I think in like the past like definitely choosing instead of like instant then choosing like microphone and regarding to like local to like microphone to everything your family and everything is like personality that about. So like why they'll be making their and like will be starting to like interact and like start to like brainstorm and form a new idea on how to like bring down like the name and while they will be beginning to like their interaction and like to create like the journey strategy like and that one itself like the scenario being like them like most likely maybe that the like at like my phone starting like fluctuate just like the scenario that I'm looking for. So like and that's one thing that them that only that my phone be telling all of them or like even telling them to be silent and then only hearing like the screen of that monster after the simply like looking at so that definitely that they can only for that speaking out of it and like seeing that a great number of like great number of like minimum plus like in that small size like usually that group of them that we are working towards like the adoption of like that. So for that aspect it's like one like any other cost is like the scenario. So like straight away like I'm different like we with them probably finding out about the being loan like and straight away that Mike and was deciding to that that microphone is like specific kind of that area and like when I'm focused on that game like Mike and also the last thing they would be wanting would be to get like the people like studying the social media nearby to like get caught in this also visible. Definitely I'm looking like maybe was like getting them to like get on the car so they can in that them all getting on the car and them not taking off from that microphone like it's not better. And while all like the group of like monsters will be like chasing the car like with an so that but for like these two things like by your points and like we have mentioned parallel like the chase by chase of that uh, chase of like copper by like the operating by agent and like the chase of like uh, uh, chase of like might control by like the group of like the multiple different forms of like the minimal like happening simultaneously in sheer coincidence that is something that is different and that is putting in like these two chases usually ending up joining together with like the scenario that right so like that way like I'm putting like these like minimal players like one two chases would be joined together in like a common or like location like in different like at that point like both of them like both the team of like Mike and the group and 11 as well as like the team of Black Hawk and all of them getting that absolute like shock and surprise of like running into each other like the scenario there and feeling that they are looking at scenario being like both of their cars like speeding ahead like side by side with like the process size and chasing after as well as the mindset multiple of like chasing for them. So like I'm so bring like the fire that that kind of seeing all these like monsters like most likely like using it like weapon on monster and like monster straight away taking out like the fire like the scenario that is and like these like concept of element where like still keeping on their chase or something like all of them is like the scenario where that way like at that point I'm getting like focus most likely giving the power to like most likely one thing organization would be like find the job to like straight away straight off to like straight off to like the mall to pocket mall like the scenario there and those like in this like situation like the only thing in focus mind would be to like the clear to like make it through like focus more make it through like problem small and as soon as possible that even like even if it's through like even if like the supposed like seats 11 still like to like at that point like in that situation like of higher priority will be to like definitely as soon as possible to like close that gate that complex machine having that complex machine like for example going to like open because that open would be the only thing that literally like are able to like make it there and close that gate in time then all is like most of that is taking up so then would be straight away getting instantly taken off like the moment like the gate would be along the lines of which like proper for like yours would be for the thing is like taken out of that uh, and that way that definitely that straight away clicking off to like reason to like the bot and then straight away like none of like locally clearing the way and basically none of us will be in panic on being on this like not that for like the first time so like none of like for even though injured like for the thing that for me basically showing them the way and everything and basically like them all quickly getting out of their car and like quickly getting into like the elevator like this scenario that episode and while they will be like marching and running towards like the location at like the mall like like at that point like surfing out there like and like would be like about to like like at that point like this surfing guys also will be seeing like this like this great number of like tiny in Minecraft like monsters like we are rushing towards that area so like that is like resulting in like this all the rushing out like only using that weapon like attacking and trying to take down all the great number of that many mind flares and basically by due to that budget state of them something like that and like focus and that's how them experience take advantage of that get to straight away actually to that failure and get into that failure and like definitely one of the things about that is the failure to closing before like the monster will be able to like integrate into that like the levels of that way that all of them like both these tools like the group of like elements might and all of them as well as the group of like pop up just as well as maximum of as well as like neutral and if we at that point I'm going to print that also like all 11 as well as that might totally staring at that pop up because of that by now like 11 like so we can realize that the might even lying so that even always due to that I think that like realize so definitely like even if such like safe in the center of the situation that still due to that them all being so used to by now by like the end of like situations that they are also used to like being in such extreme range of situations that cases that end of the time scale, like even in such a situation, so with like that, relevant as well as like night for me staring at like pop up and for me even while the elevator will be on its way to that Russian energy and between that part of extent in between that time that definitely a small swamp between that the 11 as well as like pop up as well as like my and also like scenario element. So that one flat thing will go open like at that point, like straight away 11 using like 10 minutes of like both when we like same that way and like all of them question towards like all of them that copy question towards that conversation that one of based on that allocation that the conversation and the things so we could be making it to like the conversation and like definitely totally continue that straight away like but they will be getting that way towards the keys and like inserting those keys and like turning off that account. Okay. And like at that point, self I'm like scenario to be like it would be using something the Pelican calls and it be would be that elect the process of like person that gate small gate like at that point the like the giant was in mind car would be at that point the company like element of the hearing a loud scream from the side of the gate and that would be once again like the scream of like the giant was in mind because like this at that time that the giant was in mind car might have also seen like his gate and like the phenomenon of the pain like for even like slowly opening so like the giant miner might have been for a while by now. So the giant miner by now might have been observing that gate like slowly getting surrounded. So that the giant miner might have been basically waiting for like that gate to slowly might have felt that it won't have to do anything at all like this gate and like it might be not for it to even be able to do anything and keep the gate open like the gate might have to like open up to other next and doesn't make it effective to do something like the giant miner might have been like in front of like the gate like observing the gate getting slowly with the run just when the gate so like the giant miner at that point would be definitely sensing 11 lakh perception like getting close to like the gate and like the giant mindful definitely would be getting once again extremely triggered with like 11 and would be like panicking and like giant mindful would be straight away like informing that communicating to that multiple meaning like and like all of them would be like rushing down from like the elevator. So at that point, like the elevator like throw pop up and all of them like and all of them making it to like the sit up machine and we'll have a pretty like the more like at that point like I'm thinking, like there won't be any elevator like the top and group of so like I'm going at that point like the group of like the midnight like not like the giant of the night will be fancy and then the command like after of course will break down like all those like multiple terms of like midnight like giving their output and going to that door of the building and basically falling down straight away like that tall height like that deep like distance like an almost loop of like minimum multiple minimums straight away falling onto and crashing onto the failure is like economic and still that can all surviving and like them all like all like the ceiling of the failure and like totally that's that basically integrating into like person and the level can would be passing towards like 11 there are like 11 pop up and Joyce and like Mike and all of them will be in then flip phone and like kind of integrated like scenario that I'm so like they will be like as like 11 will be closing the gate like at that point I'm looking also like after like 11 like all the will be here like green like open mind player like so in mind player like struggling with so many struggling and like will be using this like close to attempt to like still stop like the outcome like 11 find like close the gate like this and that way like closing the gate once again like being even more task for like that will only be at that point due to like when there are like more than just urban mind like method then like exactly like how relevant like after all how years pass since like the since like the past incident where like had closed the gate this is not also spent and close the gate for like children mind like the similar kind of like the giant portal mind class as well or the purpose these past years like might have also come from like especially being under frame so like that way like once again being even though at person like content person on the other one like to be seen more like still in being responded for like when that needs to be but like the open minds are like managing to that I think so it's like they form to that day that they are trying to access keep that the gate open and prevent eleven from being able to like to practice in our lab. And then exactly doesn't stand like for the great number of technical and players could be temporary implementation and development like with the rushing towards like the corner 11 and Mike and all copper and all and set with another so like as like the group of minimum players will be lab they're about to land the attack on like the corner copper and all of them like at that very last second like and the players at that point like for Joyce like basically uh like totally keeping with the kind of and then we standing in front of will and protecting will everything it on to that particular protect will and like pushing Jonathan as well as Vincent behind and like so it's like standing in front and Copper as well like standing and with its like arms wide like the protecting 11 and right and all and like we have like the group of like movements as we are rushing towards like them like and like Copper as well as that goals as well as like random as well as like Nancy Fox using their weapon at like the group of like minimum players and like still like you know like them who get sorting out like the weapon like and like all of the weapons will be like chain will be all of the like, you know like, so like at that point like you're just moving in that corner can like the group of minimum players at that point like will be about to like take out like Fox and Nancy like at that very last second, like even like totally capacity everything and like find like once again trying like the lines of it both not just like both in mind like the minimum plan as well. And like once again shutting off like the gate like question up that I'm missing over. So like at that very last second as like pop up and go would be feeling as like this might be a problem. So like at that very last second like the minimum plan as it would the group of minimum plan as a clear about plan that like the gate getting shut and like the minimum plan or like totally collapsed and like in the unknown kind of like say once again like scenario that I'm looking for like that's like from that them falling right there like the scenario in front of us like the scenario that I'm looking for and like what the answer and like the whole cutting like that will be over like and once they will be on through like they will be making it back to like the sub like at that point is when at that point only when I'm looking like coincidence with like group of forces will be like showing up is like the scenario that I'm looking for and at that point I'm looking like pop up with like showing up on his mind to like join like the scenario that I'm looking for and like pop up probably I'm looking maybe even mocking coincidence with like that made it right in time with the like everything is like over like along the lines of the friend that walks to the mocking for that way like another unit happening between that one and language and it's like the with the scenario that I'm making it and like the report of like that event would have taken off using that thinking about like and like they would be most likely like the sideline question like some of them would be like a sideline question injured and sideline decision to actually at that point, like the video like points is course like in the gap and take them away. Like for the scenario that I'm getting mentioned like the of like stranger things that we so like what we mentioned right now that they doing to like the radio to it and stuff that explain it and like from like Mike and he help from like Mike and plus like the many friends that like uh against like the reports that like definitely that the mic was like very different right now. Totally acting up right? Like putting out that I'm getting so like what they are putting like right now is like without really like I'm putting that very phone like the picking up like the call from that or that mic picking up the call from that person's like the scenario that I was and like the moment my June gave up like the very phone itself like I'm talking to straight away shouting out to like Mike about like this Russian focus that being person thing like the about like being in the situation and like the Russian focus came like to come out like what in the little thing totally it's straight away like I'm different totally because of like element already being in this like wounded situation and like them being in this like extremely critical situation with like type of situation with like intense situation with like the uh against like winning my player and fight against like winning my player and like so Mike definitely won't be in like the more like for like trusting because like definitely Mike is straight away assuming that basically uh specifically assuming that basically doesn't that trying to that once again like talking nothing that Mike and then using enough that some sort of like a good fake story to hang out or something would get on the line that Mike is a bit of the thing. So definitely Mike definitely won't be in like the mode at all for that. the plan like might would be straight away about like hand up, let's suppose. But like at that point, when I'm looking for that option would be when exactly it will be coming out like the gate like we need like the more information like the gate you tell them the night like person will be something that will last second and that might will be about hand up. So like at that point I'm looking at my phone stop and basically might probably at that point that listening to that question and they see that at that point the phone are will how every person for the answer that they have this conversation with that they have been they have opened they are almost about to that open that to they open that ticket beneath that the mall in that office that night they have pulled that stop as soon as possible before like nothing will over time they don't realize like nothing will be and shouting out to like my kids are ready for that. Definitely at that point, come to correct my kids is only realizing that the so and that situation with like the mini mind players like return and everything. And that the it and that is about like how connected that can be like my kids at that point and that's often realizing so like definitely at that point self on the point that might straight away like in that as well still end up with that like they will be without the grade they will be going up to like the public small and like well like a simple like hang on to that scenario that I'm the next person will straight away revealing electrical information to that when you look up and like and all so like at that point I'm straight away like my query telling that that is the that why even they have to even think about like even fighting and bringing down that mini mind player fight they could actively take advantage of like the situation of that the person called like the gate beneath like the model of 2 lakh of the 2 lakh mechanisms for sex of the gate like they can instantly stop like the minimize like on the long line like micro distributing the and like that would be definitely the new strategical plan of like the team of like Eleven Mike and like then even so much profit from them to like 5 hours to open small and they will be close to the gate. So then we have like before they will be quickly about the like rest of them for the current like to do not like because that will get that point and then to like stop. And when the Williams can like because things on further and will be shouting out to like make them to like stop before they will be about to leave the shop that is the that in fact they are as part of the government planning and so they will have to like fight against like the mini mind player they still have to like face off against like corruption process so definitely they need to like take advantage of the fact that like they need to be prepared so like they have to take advantage of all this like fireworks at like that shop so it's definitely that they need to get prepared and like stack up on like their weapons and everything to get on the line like will be telling us so like definitely able to think that way like Nancy and Johnson and Lucas and all of them like to be question through like the shop and basically stacking up as much as like fireworks as they can and like putting it all through that kind of like the car and it's very very pretty much from like the top towards that the amount it's like feeling it's enough that we from it that way for the mentioned right now so we think that lead to be for like micro clear in that call from like realizing that situation in like the how small the data and once like my camper would be deciding that to like the more and like I'm looking to be only at that point that I'm looking that my 11 like one of them like something or like Michael like straight away like using the radio phone like trying to like reach copper like definitely Michael because they are then when think that like they like so they are they will be able about to like face off against like a report like they would need many as much of like help as they can get so like they will bring up scenario of like Mike at that point to they're trying to like put the radio for trying to like contact like copper but like I'm definitely uh, definitely at that point that definitely that for exactly from that point would have made it to that Indiana definitely not range. So definitely at that point of the spring that made for that 11 at that point that maybe that telling might that maybe he will have to that the dark void and they will be try to like locate for but like I'm sure maybe they should have 11 being this like exhausted and whole of situation like the film like Mike maybe telling maybe think comment about like instant about like basically 11 don't basically anymore energy because like 11 would be needing or would have to like conserve and pay for like the energy to want like 11 will be making it to like the like to the date to like close the date to the like arrangement like in the telling 11 so like that way like really most likely that 11 not certain form of through the last one and it's like them deciding to like twice again and until like they make it to like the more like person like to the right to like have on access maybe super rated one will be or like they will be decided. So like that way like I'm thinking like the scenario to be like it is even after like my and the team of like Mike and Eleven and would be making it to that the more and definitely through like the radio phone on the in that market be regardless of whether they do the most important like regardless of whether they are able to like meet up with like something or not like definitely through like the radio phone being giving basically Mike exactly how to like integrate into like the about like daily background how to like that way integrate into like secret version on the level like the finish like the finale so like I'm basically it will be after all this like after like my ending movie even making it and integrating into like the person kind of be like the sector all that and like pop up and team eventually even making it to like the more selecting the scenario that I'm discussing and the link like eventually even that the secret question kind of be like definitely like the black experts and one of the stage of mentioning like in that eventually might and the other like implementation like them like all that part was still like I'm like still that going to ending up in like a difficult kind of like a situation. Maybe while they will be like running on like firewall or something. And like in that difficult situation and like to be like even like access stay like like eventually might and like ending up in like a normal like situation. Maybe at that point like when like pop up as well as the team of like pop up Joe Norma as well as like my domain like making it through like the maybe by themselves or like maybe along with like Python lab phones and it's like team of like sports as well that around that is by the time of and team will be on that and like in the to like maybe Python lab phones and team as well making it to like the more so like that is very important like showing up as like Mike and the will be in like a common like in like that secret question of the like the topic the other topic the now so that the name of them right now basically that there might be like spare battery kind of spare battery for like the radio phone or like another spare radio phone like belong to laptop or like on those and that there might be that customer might have kept like cerebral I've like that exact like history shop of like where like the as well as like all the both might be like the case that like before like the integration like Dustin had been spending all that time with like Steve discussing that discussing like the content message and everything. And so like that person like the report might be person had like that expense of might be like okay so like good go there might be and get like the report and the report to like contact might definitely be so like current plan be that like must like okay man might be like the case definitely so definitely in order to like at least it was already in that the very beginning that like for like might and it and for them to be able to like watch like the movie in like the theater and like the mall and like office like they had this need to like secret access to like the theater through like these like experience of like really still helping them through such a secret act like I'm since like currently it was still when right now at like the theater like from the theater to like go back to like these to that experience of like they were like basically and that they get like the circle to exactly that secret access so that like the food be able to like make it together that as food step yeah like to go through that secret practice like what might be the threat might be like the staff of like the workers card or which like the capable of like organizations might be having. That's definitely one of the images to definitely so like definitely either for like just to like get that card from like see and they leave for like custom insert to like see the make and that have to just the organization for finding out to like go to like that experience of and get it like or like custom might be planning on like somehow getting see or like some of them to like one of them to hoping that they might even in their browser state like manage to like understand and do accordingly as like the according to like the plan and they get like the server block to like to see that might be like the plan of like that they might be like the supplemental things but it's like that's like the opposite that might have the fear that they need to be instant like so that I think that it was like an narrative of the result if the person like tries to like go through that pathway and actually tends to like go through that I think job and get seen by even if like any other employee then like would be most likely getting captured uh, because like that and like that way like the objective that of finding out what will be high because like that traffic way will be definitely like for purpose only traffic is definitely not the so uh, might be the case I think and so definitely either one of these two positives might be like the plan that like you might want to like execute right now might be like a case definitely prevention right now that like will like state as well as like a Robin while in the process state was like feeling extremely hungry like at least like they might have swam state as well as like Robin might have gone to from the career might have been exactly to like the different of where they work in to have all that in the maybe like actually get the person to situations but you know and definitely Justin, the only thing would be mistake like getting to like some work and basically will be stealthy trying to like go up to that secret passageway and along the way like that person maybe like noticing that Steve as well as like Robin like in that we state like working on like and trying to like go up to like that job might be like the case. So like that have to be calling out to like Steve and Robin and really telling them to get like the certain format of it. But like I'm in that neither Steve nor Robin will be just make this like personalized. We get like a but then eventually with that person like somehow managing to like basically make it to like uh, do like that I think of and get the next level and like that way contact Mike and then he will to that Mike on the social details about actually uh, uh, we need like the we need like the more and everything only through like the lecture report that way like eventually like the lecture report like getting that made of format and like playing a major role in like basically that changing like the tire of like the entire that against like the question book like especially against like the minimize that it's like the interesting out that I'm going and so like the minimum implementation right now that mean that like auto stream by now might have that be for like one of them the key required to like stop like the Thomas game. So remembering. So we have to remember mention that like the second we might be definitely be present in like that situation in the in the second one might be like that to remembering. So like definitely with that offer and confronting that right now we have made from Indiana to like the festival like quoted something like specific to my pyramid and that the festival like I'm bring them to me running into like my parents like the scenario that I'm like so like at that point I'm looking like my parents will be telling them that is the like they had came to like a festival like to buy probably expecting to like find Mike and all in there but like some of the point like my parents not all being worried and like they will be along the like from back to like over and like to rejoice along the lines of like in their phones like they will be definitely back like they will be getting back from will be along the lines like in a gas environment like my telling them so like why this conversation will be going on like and at that point, Joy to be even more worried and like the realization that we see when it's not present at like well. So the while the conversation would be going on like definitely that myself that Yana sibling like Yana sibling like definitely she would be more likely to straight into and like repeatedly saying this like same thing that is the that she definitely saw the trees shake that thing like she might have from like the top of like the giant little since she had seen that like she might have kept on saying this in a repeated manner and like my parents might have like and her parents might have definitely like totally got that and like definitely that might have totally and like she might have like wanted like really wanted like her parents to actually do that and so like that way like in this manner like she might have from that point on like from like the top of the design she might have been really to this very same word like with the same thing that sees that seems of like that please take and move so that unfortunately, while offering those to the impact of like like and that point of is like saying this exactly. So like at that point that the very taking that was what like the catching that you know that and like those totally straight away up the like like young sibling and to like well like she from like the free shake so that and that point like pointing at like the direction like at like the location of like on the location of like pointing at like the direction of like trees which would be exactly in like the direction eventually leading to like focus home like the direction and so like definitely it would be like voice that would be like consistent on the conversation still won't be feeling worried like at the bit of the straight way person aside as well saying that like it would be just that is like manipulating the data like operating to like get like a to be like so just like instinct that motherly instinct that like will be feeling something off and you will be insistent about like basically them wanting to like head over and do that home it's like another than that way like eventually once that pop up and goes to the like making it to like the location of like opportunity at that point then getting that as going to the surprise like them seeing this like huge uh mini mind flap like they see that and that was very like that is that the mention that like the mini mind flap weakness definitely would be it's like the causes of definitely like it still would be that struggling kind of like state so like unlike the famous monk of like the minimized plan actually would be had would be a taxi when we have ice the minimum get like due to like an attack like so that damage like a mind players like vision and will be totally blurry might be like the case with minimum so like see like the minimum player like that shot like like the journey at that point that proper would be really worried and like like for and so it's like really like stop in the car and like rush now like the car and definitely with that copper so we definitely shouting out to like those and like pushing those like back into like the car and telling those that it's too late when this need pop that pop up will be like and so to like say make it through way of length like pop up will be common like the and they pop up I'm putting like the minimum will being like furthering and like in a clumsy kind of like situation and in pain due to like that attack just by to the damage of the pain that can be attack and reflect is not that so definitely like the bins of like the in my job will be in like a dangerous man going around like swinging its bins around like the house of like the finale like the so like for me one way to like got it like and especially that way like the human class upon the presentation of like having learning but so then definitely won't be like seeing of so the play of like celebrating would be rushing to like out of focus and would be fading into like the focus without like the movement for that point and like the play of like if you were in manner of the setting through up and definitely won't be finding like neither 11 nor anyone can the like scenario that could be at that point exactly that and the different like the thing would be likely making it to like that I couldn't shop but like see like about in the second they are like nothing blurred out that make it like so report down so that's been like turning on the lecture report and like sending that out to a radio message about like the sport rate and about like the gauge in like the and of the double function and the laboratory and like the gauge been looking there like the sending that message to the lecture and like a different my down like different job and like when the lecture report and like the report might be able to like simultaneously send messages to like multiple radio phones at the same time. Like the scenario that I'm people like Dustin told me most likely setting up like the uh, at like the same time like like purpose like messages that in up like as like showing up at like the message like showing up at like both like the radio phone that might be present the platform as well as like the as well as lecture ready form that will and look like my screen at the lecture in the scenario and I'm the so like that way like I'm like pop up only hearing this message from like something and basically at that point when I was for like from hearing that message like from a way of the tuning that they hearing at like the so that event and also might have went off to like head off to like the more direct close the gate might be along the lines of like some person that like hopefully becoming on this so get like probably that side of our that will be India or concerned and worried about like the report like finding out about like 11 that basically that is like also like the pyramid yeah like a like probably really getting back to like the car and basically like the understand like and that person from the next time they starting up the car and that sometimes at the same time like I think that way like the and like the report that getting that major for like simultaneously so needed to like nothing like the report like looking and like find things at the same time like top up and team as well as like Mike and their team as well like starting up their craft and basically like straight away starting to like set up to like the more to like close the gate as soon as possible so that like they need to like stop like this like minutes my class and to like stop that like those are set up totally understand like along their way like I'm still doing like as even though I'm like simultaneously at the same time like for the scene as well as like my screen will be sitting off unit and like and like eventually I'm like off screen that totally by some point events like running into stuff by on like by attempting like him that making that safe after like pop up like using like weapon and trying to like stop like and take out like but like them still barely managed to like make it to like the for in time is like the scenario that and like for the navy like and then along the way maybe even the during like taking off like the stuff by the on like the microphone like something that like maybe more about might be hiding some sort of like weapon in that was like a more about definitely like we have to like do to like due to like of like a it's like more environment has to like permanently abandon ships like process phase like complete before like leaving like phase like more environment might definitely picked up like some sort of like process weapon for like in my extreme emergency situation that like more environment might have stacked up and store in just like this which like more environment for the putting would have like no in like the cars like looking at that so definitely more women like picking up like those weapons and it leads that way like definitely have to bring like a fight between like the fire and the like weapon fire and like doing the chase using this like weapon for like more women like using it like weapon and like definitely using them for the like more women and like weapon like reaching the victory and like that way like definitely like them shaking off like the chase of like the inspired like the scenario that I'm even though they will be making like like the scenario that I mean